All right, today we're going to tear into a really important report, a landmark report, actually, from NATO's Strategic Communications Center of Excellence. It gives us a look into the future of information and conflict, and let me tell you, some of its predictions are fascinating, but also pretty unsettling. So let's just dive right in.
The report kicks off with this quote, and it really hits you, right? It sets the entire tone. The idea is that we're moving into an era where seeing is believing just doesn't apply anymore. Technology can now blur that line between what's real and what's fake so well that you literally can't trust your own eyes. And get this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This is the strategic reality that NATO is actively preparing for as we speak.
So the first huge takeaway here is this idea that we are already in a new kind of global conflict. But this one isn't about physical territory. No, it's a high-tech race for influence. And the battlefield? Well, it's the digital world we all live in every single day.
And the report really lays out this shift in some stark terms. You look at the old model. It was all about physical battlefields, tanks, armies. Pretty straightforward. But the weapons in this new kind of conflict, we're talking algorithms and data. And the targets? Well, they aren't just military bases or infrastructure anymore. The real targets are the beliefs and the trust of citizens. The goal is to use technology to influence people directly, to basically erode trust from the inside out.
Okay, so how does this new kind of conflict actually play out? The report points to a process that's already happening, something it calls the fragmentation of reality. It's all about how the same tech that connects us all also has the power to pull our shared worlds apart at the seams. And it all starts with something we're all familiar with, right? Micro-targeting. You see it with ads every day. But the report says it quickly escalates from there to what they call hyper-personalization. This is where our news feeds, our social media, everything becomes so uniquely tailored to us that we basically end up living in our own little information bubbles, almost like parallel realities. And the end game here? It's a fractured society. We split into all these different groups that don't even share the same basic facts anymore. And when that happens, trust in, the big institutions, government, media, it just evaporates.
But just manipulating the information that we see, that's really only the beginning. The report warns about a much more dangerous tactic that's coming. It's not about polluting the stream of information we drink from. It's about poisoning the well itself. The actual AI models that are quickly becoming our main source of knowledge.
This tactic is called data poisoning, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a new kind of information warfare where an enemy intentionally feeds garbage, false, biased, just plain wrong data, into an AI's training set while it's still learning. The whole point is to completely warp the AI's fundamental understanding of reality. That way, every single answer it gives you from then on is just a little bit off. It's tainted right from the source.
And make no mistake, the experts who wrote this report do not see this as some distant, hypothetical threat. They're saying this will become a core part, an essential arm of future conflicts. It's a massive shift, from targeting people with bad info to corrupting the very machines we're all starting to rely on for the truth.
And from here, the report takes us to its most shocking and, frankly, futuristic conclusion. If poisoning AI is about a battle for knowledge, then the next step is a battle for consciousness itself. And they have a name for it: neurowarfare.
The report literally asks this question, and it's a signal that we're about to take a huge leap. We're moving past just influencing what people think and into a whole new world of predicting and maybe even shaping how they think. So neurowarfare is this merger of AI and neurotechnology. The report is warning that this combination is going to allow for the creation of incredibly precise models of how we think and feel, down to the neurological level. This isn't just about showing you a targeted ad anymore. This is about enabling psychological manipulation with a level of precision that we have never, ever seen before.
And just in case you're thinking, okay, this is getting a little too sci-fi, the report drops this absolute bombshell. The underlying capabilities for this stuff, for predicting consciousness, for interpreting what's going on in our brains, they're not just theoretical concepts for some far-off future. The report says, quote, they already exist. Chilling, right?
So when you're faced with these mind-bending technological threats, the report then turns to a really critical question. How can democracies possibly keep up? And this leads to a very real-world problem, a dilemma that the report says Europe is facing smack in the middle of this new high-tech race.
And this table really gets to the heart of what the report calls the democratic paradox. So you have European nations, and they're rightly protective of their values, so they tend to put regulation and ethics first, which is great, right? But the downside is that it can slow down the kind of practical, hands-on experimentation you need in a tech race. Add to that the fact that politicians are always thinking about the next election, which makes them really hesitant to pour huge amounts of money into these giant long-term tech projects. And the report's warning is pretty stark. That combination could lead to Europe falling, and I quote, irreversibly behind the US and China.
Which brings us all the way to the final, ultimate question that this report leaves us with. As all this tech gets more and more powerful, and as trust in our traditional institutions starts to crumble, who or what gets to be the one that defines reality?
You know, in a world where it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what's fake, the report suggests people might actually start trusting AI systems more than they trust human leaders or institutions. The very authority of knowledge is shifting, moving away from the democratic institutions we've relied on for centuries and over to these complex technical systems built by just a handful of companies. And so that leaves us with this final, absolutely critical question. This is really the core tension of this new era we're walking into, and it's what this NATO report really wants us to wrestle with. If we're really heading towards a future where AI is a thing that defines reality for us, then the most important question we could possibly ask is, who do we trust to actually build that AI? And maybe even more importantly, what values are they building into it?